Okay.
Everybody ready? Good evening. I'd like to call to order a special meeting of the City Council of Satellite Beach, October 25th, 2016, approximately 6:45 p.m. Two items discuss, take action on an interlocal agreement to amend the existing Brevard County signal maintenance contract. Alan?
Good evening. Again, this is the amendment to the original contract that we signed 5 years ago with Brevard County for them to take care of our signals. Prior to that, we had a private firm doing it, and we had scheduling issues, and it didn't work out financially. But Brevard County has been doing a great job. They're great to work with. It's cost effective, and so they would like to extend the contract, but they need to amend the contract via this this amendment. The only thing that will change is they will add Courtney Barker, take off Michael P. Crotty, and they need to add State Road A1A and Shearwater Parkway to the list on Exhibit A, to the list of signals. Outside of that, I don't think there are any other changes.
Make a motion.
Oh, and Harriet Raymond for Tammy Thomas Wood. Harriet retired a few years ago. She was the section supervisor over traffic ops at Brevard County Public Works, and that job has since been passed over to Tammy Thomas Wood, apparently. So they're changing that name as a signatory on the amendment.
For the county?
For the county, exactly. And as far as budget impacts, it's really based on the amount of repairs and preventive maintenance that we do, inspections, things like that. But we do get reimbursed from Florida Department of Transportation for the signals that are on A1A in South Patrick, as those are state highways. And normally it works out to our advantage because they do such a good job taking care of the signals. And also, with the A1A project, we'll be getting brand new signals, so that cost should also go down. But outside of that, I think it's pretty cut and dry.
Question now. The fee structure here to be the same as it was before?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to authorize the city manager to sign the agreement to amend the existing contract with Brevard County for signal maintenance.
Sorry.
I have a motion by Councilman Montanaro, second by Councilman Gott. Discussion from council? I have none at this time. Open up for public comment on agenda item 2. Hearing none, back to council. Further discussion?
Nope.
Hearing none, Lenore?
Councilman Osmer?
Yes.
Councilwoman Gott?
Yes.
Councilman Montanaro?
Yes.
Mayor Patino?
Yes, motion passes. Thank you. Al? Moving on to agenda item 3, discuss take action on the city update Hurricane Matthew debris cleanup efforts. Courtney.
Thank you, Mayor. As you can see, that the county contractor, this storm has been very different than the 2004 storm in that we are now in our 3rd week of recovery, and we have yet to see any substantial cleanup occurring in the city at all. We have, through Commissioner Smith, requested Cassia to be completed because of the limited right-of-way on that street. If you drove down there when they had piles, some of the houses had piles so high that you couldn't see through their window. And the Surfside car loop was making that difficult. And then also Sherwood, because of Halloween coming up. So he did get that done for us, and then they were able to get Park done, and I think Harwood, and now they're on Norwood. There's only one truck working at this point, and when we first went into this recovery period last Sunday, on the 16th, they said that they would have 10 trucks working on Beachside, and they were starting on Pineda, coming south, and that they were in Satellite Beach, which they never were. So I'm posting this stuff on Facebook because that's what they're telling people, and they're actually posting it on the Next Door social media website. And and people are getting mad now because they're not seeing anything in the city. And so then they told us that we would have 3 trucks. Now we're going from 10 to 3 this Monday, and we haven't seen 3 trucks. Now we have 1. So what we've done was we had actually discussed maybe taking some of the work on ourselves and just eating the cost, because, pretty soon, we knew this week is when people are going to start getting angry because the grass is starting to die, rats are getting into the piles and things like that. And so that's actually happening. They're starting to get angry. And what we found is that we do have 2 contractors that could start on this for us. They've given us proposals. However, we don't do this very often. So if we don't do everything perfectly and correctly, we may not get a FEMA reimbursement. And we're looking at hundreds of, about $150,000 to do the city. So what we are proposing is that we did send those 2 contractors to the county and requested that they call them and get them on board with the county, because clearly the county doesn't have enough resources now. We also requested that we set up the DeSoto site for a temporary unloading of the debris, like a transfer site, and that our Public Works Department could possibly start picking up some of this mess. If that happens, we would have some overtime costs, and so tonight, this evening, I was requesting your permission to go ahead and spend approximately up to $20,000 to accelerate this process with the residents, because at this point, we're just not getting any resolution from the county, and we need to do something to show that we're on it. So I would like that tonight.
If we do and take on some of this responsibility, what type of financial arrangement do we have right now with the county in this interlocal thing? And does this allow us to, renege on part of this agreement, because we're not being serviced the way we were led to believe? So what kind of repercussions are we going to be able to, see and get out of? If we're going to spend money, how much are we spending with the county, and what can we get back?
Well, everything that the county is, the county would pay for the waste pickup as a county, and then we pay about 12.5% is our match, and of our costs of the stuff that's been picked up in our city, correct? And if we want out of that contract, we can get out of it if we want, but it's not advisable because it's a lot of money. So what we were advising is we can assist the county with our public works labor to just move it along. It's not going to be fast because we don't have a lot of resources here, but we need to show the community that we're doing something, because they're just getting very angry.
So when the county picks up, let's just say they were in a normal pickup of the storm and it was going correctly, we pay them 12%, 12.5%?
12.5%, yes.
Is there anything in the contract with them that if we do it, they don't have to reimburse us the 12% or reimburse anything? Or are they not?
We don't have to.
We're not reimbursing.
We won't get reimbursed
We're
from...
paying 12.5%.
Well, right, but what I'm saying, if we do the work ourselves, do they owe,
No.
what, 88% of it? No?
No. If we do the work ourselves, then we're paying it ourselves. I mean, so that's why if we do the work ourselves, we need to be set up to get FEMA reimbursements, which is, it's hard.
Are we set up?
No.
Okay. Then, let me just, 2 parts of this then. It'd probably be a good idea that since what happened on this, how slow they are, that can we be set up so in case we ever need it in the future, we're there?
Oh, yeah, we're already writing an RFP with Indian Harbor because we're not doing the county next time.
I think that was the
So
question
we're-
everybody wants to know. is
we're-
We're not going to do this again, right?
Yeah, we're preparing for next storm already, but we're trying to do right now.
Okay.
And right now, we have no other real option unless we somehow in the next 2 days get completely educated on FEMA reimbursements and understand all that and cross all our T's and dot all our I's, which is a chance that we would be taking and not getting reimbursed, and it is a lot of money. So
So you want 20 if you need it. If not, all of a sudden, something doesn't start in the next couple of days.
Yeah, we were probably going to have Public Works, get on that, if we can confirm that we can get reimbursed.
Okay.
So,
If we can get okay, so if we can get reimbursed, then this 20 grand we'll get back.
not all of it, but,
We'll get percent of it back,
yeah, 80%, right?
80?
It's all dependent on how FEMA's gonna see this. If we pick up, we have the capability of picking up smaller piles in the city. We've actually purchased a new piece of equipment that's supposed to be delivered tomorrow that has some grappling component to it, and we can put it on the trucks, take it down, and dump it at DeSoto, and then the county can pick it up at DeSoto. If that's acceptable to FEMA to do that, so that we can get some relief for the residents, then it would be no different than the claw truck going
Right.
through and picking it up. I don't know what exactly we'd have to do to satisfy the FEMA requirements, i.e., do we need GPS coordinates for each pile? Do we need photos of each pile?
So
Do
we're
we need
trying
measurements
to
of each
hash that
pile?
out now.
All right.
So normally they work on a cubic yardage thing, but they also have a monitor that goes with every pickup truck.
All out there.
Yeah, and they follow behind them, and I don't know what type of information they garner from whatever they're doing there. I mean, I don't know if they're getting out of the truck, measuring the
Right.
pile, or just watching, making sure that they're not putting stuff in the truck that they're not supposed to be putting in. I don't know what their actual, job description is. I know that they're there to monitor, but what they're monitoring and what information they are, annotating, I don't know.
Okay, so let's say we move the piles. Okay, we're going to move them over to DeSoto or wherever that site that's going to be, right? We move it. We can get reimbursed 80% of that, we're going to pay 20.
Maybe.
Okay. At the best, we're going to get 80. Do we also get hit for 12% more when they move it from the piles that we put over here? When the county comes and...
Well,
to
if
DeSoto.
that's what the county tells us, then we're not going to do it, of course,
Okay.
there'd be no reason to do that.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. If you're just transferring the pile, we're paying the cost of this movement to DeSoto, and then all of a sudden, now that that's our holding site, then who moves it from there to
And that
the
may
county
be
dump?
possible because part of the job is moving it all the way down to the landfill and, getting rid of the landfill and
I
paying
just
for
don't
the
want to get
landfill,
hit twice here, because if we move it to DeSoto, and yes, we do our residents a favor of starting to get this along, then we pay another 12% on top of that, because now it has to go to the dump and they have to re-pick this up. That's my only concern. See what I'm saying? You're going to move the pile from this office, let's say it was here to DeSoto,
Well,
it hasn't made the full
you're gonna
trip.
pay
You're only
12%.
paying for the job you're doing. So, if the FEMA is going to reimburse you, if it's $10 per cubic yard because you picked it up and drove it all the way to the dump, or they might reimburse us for $3 per cubic yard because we didn't take it all the way to the dump. So it depends on the work we're doing.
But we're going to take it, right, but still, if the county does it, the most you're paying is 12%,
12.5%.
right, to get it from
Wherever
your
it is
house,
to there.
my house, to the dump, is 12%, right? That's the most, that 12.5.
12.5% of the cost, yes.
Piece,
So,
12.5% of
right.
the cost. But if we move it to another site,
Then, and we only get reimbursed, we're being reimbursed for the cost of that particular job. So, if you're moving it to just the,
Yes.
just the DeSoto land, area, then the cost of that is much lower than the cost to drive it all the way.
But we're not
to
going to get
landfill.
charged
Right.
extra from the county.
Correct.
what's the county going to charge me to take it now from
You're
DeSoto?
still, yeah,
We're still going to get
You have to pay
hit, we're getting hit,
12.5%.
that's what I'm saying, we're getting hit by the 12.5%. Even though we moved it, all we've
Why
done
don't you
is-
let us figure that out first?
That's my concern, is
Okay.
getting double hit for something that they should have, and I understand they're not, and we're trying to do it, but they
Well,
should have
that's the
done
thing,
it for
is
12.5.
we have a cost benefit here.
Okay.
We can let it sit there, or we can, eat something and try to address the concerns of the residents, because, I mean, I don't know if you're getting the calls that I'm getting, but,
I've got people saying, what's going on?
right.
And,
And rightly so.
yeah, I mean, and again, I think they pretty much understand, but their understanding is,
It's wearing down.
and I think part of the understanding that I'm seeing is they don't have a disconnect between waste management and this type of pickup. There's not a disconnect out there. It's our services be provided by waste management. Where are they? Well, I've told people, they only pick up this. It's not the extra debris. That's the county. And then they're like, you got to be kidding. That's the disconnect. I think most people believe that waste management is the pickup on this stuff, and where are they? Their claw truck should have been by here on Monday or Tuesday. They don't see that it's a county.
Right.
So, that's
I can tell you just from past experiences when 2004 happened and going to meetings and listening to people from all over the state that were, dealing with FEMA. If you don't cross your T's and dot your I's, there were a lot of municipalities that thought they were going to get reimbursed for things they didn't get reimbursed for. So, I have some concerns if we're going to do this. I also have some concerns with the fact that, we have cul-de-sacs, and this was brought up to us, yesterday by Alan. Some of the cul-de-sacs where there's debris piled up, especially our cul-de-sacs that are on the water, you're lucky the garbage truck can get down some of those streets. And what kind of situation is if there's a fire down there or if there's some other emergency, why is the county putting us in this situation, I guess is my question. I mean, if we have an agreement with them and they are the ones that are to be providing this service for us, they're not fulfilling their end of the bargain. And, it puts us in a compromised position with our residents, but they are ultimately responsible for this stuff, and they're not doing it. So, I mean, how do we go about getting them to at least start getting some of our streets that could be impassable if there's a fire?
We've been on the phone with them, I would say 3 or 4 times a day. And I have to say, I've been talking to the county commissioner personally.
Well, I emailed them too, and I texted them, and I thanked them for picking up Cassia and Sherwood, and he said he was glad to get out.
They went on to Park on Sunday, and they got that done. But
we need
but
more
I
than
think,
one truck.
Well, that's the problem. And I think they are also doing the unincorporated areas of the county first.
Well,
Strongly believe they are. So they chose the place that everybody had to evacuate from to do last.
Okay, so you want us to give you the ability from, where you want to get the funds
It'll
from?
be from unrestricted reserves.
Okay, unrestricted reserves to use if need be?
Right.
And can that be if need be?
Well, I think everybody knows that I'm not just going to go use it.
I know. I just wanted to say so. Okay.
So moved.
I have a motion by Councilman Gott. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Osmer. Just further discussion before I open
I have
up?
a question. Who do you have working on trying to figure out the FEMA requirements?
That's Donnie and Suzanne. So I just sent an email over to the county manager requesting that they confirm that we can get reimbursed if we use public works to people. And so we're hoping that
Maybe something that John Fergus could help with. Research.
Well, we also have the FEMA rep here too, so they're meeting with us pretty soon.
Hopefully this is a good education process for us so that we know how to do it. The next time we're already set up to be FEMA ready, is that?
Well, the issue is you have to have the contractor. The contractors are the ones that are FEMA ready. We don't have a contractor on don't have a contract.
I remember us discussing, okay.
Right.
All right. So it's a matter of.
We depended on the county to provide that to us. Rockledge, as an example that did not do that, they have their own contractors. They're going to be done in a week.
So we
But
should
their
look
whole
at
city.
Harbor. Are we looking at Harbor and
Harbor and
Satellite?
Satellite are writing an RFP together. to have our own contractor.
Okay, is there any other city in there to help it, or do you feel comfortable
We're
with
going
them?
to talk to Jim to see if they wanted Jim McKnight over at Cocoa Beach, but they have their own as well, and they do their own pretty well, so they might not have any interest in partnering with us.
Okay, great. This time open up for public comment on the issue of $20,000 for emergency of help start the cleanup of the streets. Hearing none, back to council.
I just got to add one more thing is, in light of the last few years, we said we were always working on building up our reserves in case the city got hit by a hurricane or a catastrophe. In light of that, we have built up our reserves and we have done that. So I think it is a good idea that we go forth with some of this money, because basically we've been preaching that for the last few years. We're building up our reserves, One of the reasons we're doing that is in case the city gets hit by a hurricane or something like that, we would have money to help, rectify that. And so I think this is a good example, although we have other things in place with the county and so on, but we do have money in reserves. We've been trying to save money for this specific case, so I think we should go forward with and do this to help the residents out. As we said, that's what we were planning to do in the first place.
I agree with you. It is interesting to me why we always like to do things
On our own.
ourselves, Satellite Beach,
Yeah,
fire department, police. There's a reason, and here is another example of the reason.
absolutely.
I guarantee you, if we'd have had our own, we wouldn't be here discussing it.
In 2004, they did such a great job, though. Nobody could anticipate this mess. I mean, I have to say that. So, and we were cleaned up in, 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So it's a very different scenario this time, and a lot of it has to do with the breadth of this storm and how big the impacts were and where, because it's all the way up the east coast of the nation. So these resources are stretched thin, but I think it's being managed more from a political standpoint than a need-based standpoint, and we just are not getting the service that we should have.
Yep, agree.
Further discussion? Lenore?
Councilman Montanaro?
Yes.
Councilman Osmer?
Yes.
Councilwoman Gott?
Yes.
Mayor Patino?
Yes, motion passes. Thank you. Any further discussion on these topics? Hearing none? Meeting's
Before you adjourn the meeting, I just want to thank John Stone for clarifying the information that was sent to us by an anonymous resident on the signs on Jackson Ave at the old post office parking lot. It's not public property, it is private property. Thank you.
Thank you. Further
How did we get it? Was it a letter?
This was
Mail.
in my council packet.
It was mailed
It was
today.
mailed.
It's hard to respond.
Yeah, it's hard to respond to somebody
Address.
that doesn't know how to spell either.
Wonder who that is.
I can't spell, but. Any further business? Sorry to the sustainability for taking a few moments of your time. This meeting is adjourned.